So our next assignment is going to be text animators. We'll be doing 3 different text animations, okay? Each one of these will be a different way to animate text or a different purpose to animate text. So one of them is going to be a quote, okay? So like I mentioned before, using Pinterest, quote. You want to find something that is a good length. Something that is too short doesn't give us enough room to even show off motion graphics. So be afraid and do it anyway. That's way too short, okay? That one is also way too short. This is probably a good length, okay? If you see someone without a smile, give them one of yours. Dolly Parton, right? So what we're going to do first for the quote, we'll find a quote, okay? So you can go through this and find quotes. You can go through Google and find a quote. You should know how to find quotes. Find something that is nice. We can put it on a screen. It's readable. We can get it out there. This is too long. I would not use something this long inside there, right? Life quotes, that's probably too long also. So let's say that I'm going to choose this one. Remember, growing might feel like breaking at first. I don't like that one. I'm going to go to one of my motion text ones because I already saved some. There you go. Be loud about the things that are important to you. Okay? So I would take this quote, I would jump into Illustrator, and I'm going to design what I want my artwork to look like. So at this point, I'm not concerned about the animation. I first want to get what colors I'm doing, what the style of this is, what the design of this is. I'm going to make a new document, and this is going to be, or should be, the size of what we're going to be creating our animations at. So I'm going to make this 1280 by 720 pixels, and then hit create. And then we wait. There we go. This came in as CMYK. I'm going to change this mode. I should have done that in the new settings to RGB. After Effects won't take in CMYK. And then I'm going to type out my quote, which I have already forgotten. There we go. So there's my quote, being loud about things. Some things to consider, obviously, what font you want to use. Do you want to change any of the font faces or anything while you're working? So I'm going to do all this as lowercase, too. I don't think I like this as uppercase. I may want to take some of these words and misspell them. No, do that. I don't think I like that either. I think I'm going to keep this as loud, but I'm going to take this. Let me first pick a font. So on my computer, I have Helvetica, which is a nice font. So I'm going to do that. Make that a bit bigger. And then I'm going to change the weighting on this one to, let's say, black. I'll do the same thing here. Okay, so I picked a font. This might actually be too thin here. I think I picked maybe too thin of a font, so I'll adjust that. But I have an idea or a concept that I'm going with. Do I want this, centered? Oops. Like that. I think I actually like it left justified better. Yes, I know the dog. Yeah. I'm going to put that there, and then I'm also going to put in, it says Dolly Parton said it, so I'll just put Dolly Parton here. Yes, sir?
What if the quote doesn't have the name of the person that said it?
Then you say it and you attribute it to yourself. No, you can just put, you don't have to put a name there, okay?
But if we know the name, we can put the name?
If you know the name, you can put it there, yeah.
Okay.
Can you put like anonymous or something like that?
You could. But anonymous is like everything is like that. There we go. And then I found a nice cursive font. I'm going to use that too. Okay. Good. As we're doing text inside of anything, just like your regular design stuff, you don't want to mix serif and sans serif or script. Like I don't want to have 5 different scripts on here or 5 different serif fonts or 5 different sans serif. So this is all Helvetica up here, which is obviously just a plain font, and then this is a scripty font, so those work. Then we'll color background. I'm going to drop in this, move that to the back, and then pick a color. I don't want that. I want HSB. And then maybe my font will be white. There we go. And I could do things too with the color. I could make part of my font black, part of my font white, however I want to lay that out. Okay. So that would be the first step of this, of that first quote. So then I would go into my 1900 folder. Oops. 1900. Here is my text animation stuff I made. Here's artwork. And then here's my Dolly Parton quote. Okay, so that is one animation that we're going to do. That's all we've done so far, is just set that up. Yep, just Adobe Illustrator. Okay. The next one that we're going to do is going to be a hologram opening thing, so like a user interface type of thing. I don't know why I'm going back. I have all these things saved. So this is kind of the style, okay? So something like this, and we're going to have it like right out, okay? This will be kind of like an opener for our hologram when we do our hologram, okay? So you're just going to design what you want your hologram to look like. So we jump back to Illustrator, we go to New, we do the same size, and while I'm here, I'll make sure that my color is set to RGB. And then I'm just going to design what I want that to look like. So I don't know why it always defaults to that. Like that one. There we go. So that could be a bit over, I guess. Then here's my font. Oops. Initializing load sequence. Make sure you're spell checking your stuff too. I believe there is a spell checker in Illustrator, so you can use that as well. I want this to look very computer techy, so I'm going to use this OCR-A standard. That looks like a typewriter thing. If you find a font at home, you can bring it here. If it's a Mac at home, obviously make sure that it'll go between Mac and PC. Okay, so there's that, this. That background needs to get a bit darker. Oops. Come on. There we go. And then I'm just debating how I want this to be laid out. One side, the other side. That looks kind of cool. Okay, and then I may also want to have, let's say, like dots or a grid or something. I may want to put some lines on here. I'm not going to go through the whole process. But any of the stuff that we want on there, we're going to build into that interface. Okay, you'll see the kind of stuff that that they have inside of these pieces here. Right, so you can see how they have these lines around there, these dashes.
How did they do that? Is that in After Effects?
Yeah, it's all After Effects.
I have no time for that. That takes forever.
He'll be working in the end, though.
Right.
Until your computer explodes and then you can't get it. That's just your luck. What will go wrong?
So like this kind of thing here, you see the lines on the top here, the little box around it, the little bar on the left and right, that kind of thing. So if you want to include any of that, then include that stuff in here, okay? And then I'll save that as Hologram Opener. And then okie dokie. And then the third one that we're going to do is going to be a game opener. So another one of our assignments will be an Angry Birds assignment. So think of like the start screen for a video game like Mario or whatever. You'll create some sort of opening page to that, okay? So if I'm using this one as an example, or I'm using Candy Bubble Blitz, I'm assuming that's a real game. Same process. Go to New, 1280 by 720, and then start building your stuff in here. Get backgrounds. Ugh. I don't know if I can do it. I'm going to go with like that color, I guess.
Are we trying to replicate something that already exists?
Nope. Just using it as reference. Bright colors, outlines around the text, sparkles in this case, right? So, and you can call it whatever you want. I'm going to call mine Angry Bird just for sake of this. Ideally, I should be able to come back at a later point and not have it Angry Blurred. Angry Bird. Yeah. It's off-brand. Come back later at any point and change what that font would say. And as long as the sizing is close enough, then it should work. Yeah, I really have to probably find a bubbly font like that one. I don't have anything on there. Yeah, there's nothing like this is like 12-year-old bubbly font. I don't want that, so. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but you would just design that, okay, what you want that to look like. Don't be concerned right now, again, about the animation part. Just focus on getting the design. And don't spend too much time building a design in here. One of the horrible things about this connection between Illustrator and After Effects is that when we bring in text, it doesn't come in as text. It comes in as images. So we actually have to use this as a template and then rebuild that inside of After Effects. Some things like this will allow me, or should allow me, if it works correctly, should allow me to copy this and paste it and maintain that stuff, okay? But if I had something fancy in here where I adjusted any of the effects like the stroke on the text or any of that, that won't come in. I have to rebuild all that stuff, okay? Mm-hmm.
So for the game thing, does it have to be like for an app, or can it be like
Anything. We're just using this as reference. That's all I'm using it for. So when I look at something like, let me find something that's more appropriate. Where's Metroid? Where's Contra? That's my games I like, right? Or there we go. So something like this, right? So it's going to have this on here. It'll say push start key. So that's something that I'll animate the Castlevania, animate the castle in the background flashing, and then I would have like the press start key thing flashing on there. Okay. Hopefully. Yeah, and you can look at it like this too, like how simple these ones are, where it's just like some text and press start. Or you can go a bit fancier with, you know, this kind of Treasure Island type thing, okay? If you do anything fancy like this and you think, like, I want to animate the images or the backgrounds coming in, think of it in planes. Each one of those planes would be on a separate layer, and then After Effects would read those as separate layers and make it easier for us to animate all the stuff coming in, okay? So for next Wednesday, have all three of these ready to go, okay? So we can do that too. So we can do, there's several things. So one of them is we could do like this, which is frame by frame illustration of smoke. We can do something like this, which is a video of smoke that we could add on top of our stuff. We could also do things like this. This is hand-drawn, but there are plugins inside After Effects where we can make it look like smoke. Okay? So there's a lot of different things we can do. We could even grab an image of just a flat image of smoke and kind of morph it and move it across the screen, and it'll look like smoke. So yeah, there's a bunch of different ways we can do that. Okay? And then I would save this as Angry Bird opener. Okay? Now this is before you do any of your animations. All three of these have to be done. Okay? And I need to see them beforehand so that we don't go into this thinking that you're going to do this huge thing, but we only have time basically for like one of these a day. That's how long it's going to take for each one of those. Questions? Expand. It doesn't have to. You can do that when we get to the Angry Bird part. So you could have the placeholder, like this is where I'm going to do this, and I'm going to have the Angry Bird. And if you remember like Mario, he would kind of like jump into the frame and like hit something and come out. So you could do that. You could have your Angry Bird like come into the frame and then move out of it if you wanted when we get to the Angry Bird. Correct. Don't worry about the Angry Bird yet. When we get to that, we'll worry about that one. Yes, ma'am. Come in with all three of these built already. 3 Illustrator files.
By at least next Wednesday?
By Wednesday, yep. A week from today.
So, you want us to do like the text of it? Cause like what I was thinking, like we put it all out how we want it to look, and then we animate it when we get to the project.
Right. Yeah, you're not doing any of the animation yet. You're just laying out where you want the text to be.
Okay.
So
it's the text we worry about right now.
correct.
Oh,
So if my
it's a digital template.
right, it's a digital template. So if this is what I'm doing is Discomania, I'm going to draw out in Illustrator Discomania, have the ball in the background, and already this should give me an indication as to how I'm going to animate it. Based off of what I'm seeing here, I should be able to see, okay, the disco ball in the background is probably going to be spinning. This is going to be like flickering, and then these little cubes will probably be like dancing around or something. Somehow the text will get onto the screen. That's something I'll have to figure out too along the way. That's the main thing. Same thing here, right? So if I was doing this one, Primus, each one of these letters would be able to pop in, the hat would come down, and then maybe these swirls would just kind of like develop. And same thing on the end. Little swimmers. It's like the same logo, look at that.
Sort of.
Yeah. All right, anything else? All right.